Howdy, howdy, and welcome to But It Was Alien.
Hi.
The extraterrestrial comedy podcast where we probe true, real, legitimate, honest, actual alien encounters to determine for humanity's safety whether they really were actually bullshit. I'm today's chief investigator, Kevin the Grey, and with me is today's interrupting scallywag, Granville Moonwalker. Show me them titties, Mooney.
Careful what you wish for. Do 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 do.
You got 3 nipples. We are actually going to get right into it today. This week, we are heading over to the country that gave us Maradona.
Ooh.
Eva Peron, otherwise known as Evita, and the 266th and current Pope at the time of recording, Pope Francis.
And possibly the greatest footballer of all time.
Yeah, I'd generally go for Maradona in terms of footballing ability.
You swine.
You've got to wait until they're retired to judge the current generation, I think.
No, you haven't.
The Argentine Republic is in the southern part of South America and was most likely named after the legends of the Silver Mountains, mythical sources of silver within South America around the 1500s. You know what else can be silver?
Silver Surfer.
UFOs. Silver Surfer would be a UFO, wouldn't he? He's not from this planet. He floats around in the sky.
Well, if you know what he is, then he's not a UFO.
He's not unidentified, I guess. But then he might be for people who don't know what he is.
And so would a plane.
But I know what a plane is when I see a plane. If I saw the Silver Surfer,
But someone else
I'm not
might
going to
not.
think that's the Silver Surfer.
I would.
You know what else can be silver? Greys. Don't you say they're grey. Onwards we go. This is the tale of father and son, Francisco and Carmelo Nunez, now popularly known by me
As Freddie Nunez.
as the Nunez Boys.
Not Freddie, then.
Not Freddie. They experienced something pretty extraordinary on the night of the 6th of July, 1978. Would you like to speculate as to where this one is going before we begin?
Did they see the Silver Surfer?
No.
Not sure I care then.
You just don't want to do the episode.
I just...
Are you that hard for the Silver Surfer?
Maybe. No.
So
Okay.
no thoughts about what the Nunez Boys might be?
What they might be.
Well, yeah, we've got the Nunez Boys here. No thoughts on who or what
so-
they are.
Not what they saw or experienced, what they might be.
If that's how you want to go about it, yeah.
Ooh. Do this father and son claim to be silver greys? Like silverback greys?
No.
Are they the silverback gorilla of the alien world? Silverback greys.
See, I was thinking you were going to go for like music stars or gangsters. No, you've gone for silver-backed alien greys. Anywho.
You've got to kind of convince me otherwise now. These are silverback gorilla greys.
So before I continue, just a big thank you to UFOinsight.com for this one. I saw a tweet linking to this, and it was a great source. So, it was around 9 p.m. when 23-year-old Carmelo Nunez, or Carm of the Nunez Boys, drove his 66-year-old father, Francisco, or Fran of the Nunez Boys, back to Mendoza following a business meeting in Maipú. That's spelt M-A-I-P-U for our childish listeners.
I was about to say,
My
that's
poo.
so childish of me, but couldn't handle it.
So we're in Maipú today.
It's the silence, carry on.
The Nunez Boys were driving a 19...
In your poo?
They were driving in Maipú, yes. But they were driving a 1933 Chrysler 4-door sedan. You know how those Nunez Boys roll? Fran had been given the car by his parents, and Carm had just finished restoring the car to its former glory. It was spry. Even the tape player sounded great, which is no surprise. the Nunez boys were mechanics. So you could make the quite accurate assumption that both boys knew their way around a motor. They knew vehicles and they knew the streets of my poo.
What year was this?
This was 1978.
You're making them sound like a proper gang. Like a gang of mechanics. Go around racing for pink slips. Getting new cars that way. Okay, because they know they're mechanics, they know their way around a motor, doesn't necessarily mean they know vehicles. Because I'm also a qualified mechanic. I know motors to an extent. I wouldn't say I know every vehicle.
Had you have been working in mechanics from the age of your mid-20s until your 66th birthday, I'd feel confident to say at that point that you know vehicles.
Well, what about Calm? Can you vouch for Calm?
Can I vouch for him?
Yeah.
But he's not called John.
Okay, I'll let you off.
So I've got a picture of the vehicle here so you can see what it would have looked like. If you'd just like to check that out quickly.
That's a proper gangster car.
It really is.
So what we're looking at, I don't know the model of the car, make or model, but you see it in the old 50s.
It's an old Chrysler.
Well, not even 50s, like 30s. Oh yeah, you did say. The old 30s films, gangster films, where you'll find a gang of them, obviously, hanging out of the windows.
With a Tommy gun.
With a Tommy gun.
It's a Tommy gun!
Oh, that's a beautiful car, though.
Yep, fully restored, because they know their way around motors.
If anyone is out there listening, I may also give Kev's left nut for this car as well.
What is your obsession with my nuts?
It's not, it's the car.
Why is it always my nut?
I'm not going to give my own.
You could
We've already
pay
gone
money.
through this.
Why do you think people are going to give valuable things for my nuts? My nuts have been through wars, son. Wars.
They've earned their stripes. And their hairs.
So as them Nunez boys were making their way down the quiet, mean streets of Argentina, Calm took the ramp to a motorway. As he did, an olive green pickup truck literally appeared behind them like magic.
Ooh.
Remember, this
is gang warfare.
So would have looked something like the picture I'm about to show you, Mooney. For our listeners, you know the truck from Jeepers Creepers? This vehicle looked not too dissimilar to that, but without the cowcatcher bit on the front, with an open back and boogie green. That is an official colour.
It's a nice looking truck, but I wouldn't have it over the other one.
I can really profoundly remember seeing Jeepers Creepers in the cinema, and whenever I see one of these trucks now, I just strongly associate it with that. I'm thinking there's a killer in that truck.
I was actually about to ask. It appeared behind them like magic. Mm-hmm. Was there a driver?
Don't know at this point, but I see where you're going. The boogie truck passed them Nunez boys and immediately slowed down in front of the Nunez boys' car. Calm's foot was pressed to the gas, but the Nunez boys' car began slowing down too. Calm remained calm and continued to follow the boogie truck at the mystically determined speed they were driving at. Then the truck disappeared. So did the road.
What? What do you mean the road disappeared? What, as in they just started driving on, like, gravel or grass or
Nope,
another form of...
Just nothing.
No.
What? Makes sense, doesn't it?
No. The road didn't just disappear. That's nonsense.
Hey, ma'am.
So if it disappeared, what were they driving on? Did the car just stop? Did they all of a sudden float? Were they in a craft?
So obviously,
Were they on a surfboard?
we're going to get into this, but what do you think it is?
Bullshit.
So Granville is fully on board at this point.
You lost me at the road disappearing.
Let's roll then, shall we?
Well, they clearly didn't.
So the Nunez boys were understandably shocked. Fran screamed out, "What happened to the truck?"
What happened to the road?
Before Calm could say anything, Fran shouted again, "Where's the road?" You got a bit ahead of yourself there. The Nunez Boys' vehicle was surrounded by darkness at this point, despite the lights being on full beam. It remained that way for a few minutes. Then, the Nunez Boys' car suddenly entered a city at speed. The Nunez Boys explained that the buildings just flew past and seemed to be one unending building with red lights coming from both inside and outside. They were so tall that the boys couldn't see the buildings' tops. Other than massive buildings on either side of the road, there was nothing. Before I carry on, let me just drop a little bit of science here. If you were travelling near the speed of light, light waves from stars behind you would spread apart and appear red. If you got so fast, eventually the light would shift completely out of the known visible colour spectrum to humans, so everything would fade to black.
So what you're saying right now is they happen to Mario Kart style drift behind a vehicle in front that was going so fast that their car sped up to that exact same speed, or even faster to be fair, and then boom.
Sort of. I think there was a vehicle behind them, wasn't it?
The olive green one was in front of them.
That's exactly what I'm saying, yes.
They should have thrown a red shell. They put them out of that problem.
So you think they're basically playing Mario Kart?
Yeah. I reckon this is a VR game.
In 1978?
Yep.
Okay.
So just two buildings, one either side.
Yep, continuous.
Well, if
Reddish.
what you're saying did happen, were they actually buildings?
What else would they be?
Dunno. I mean, they can't really see colour or anything. Can they see anything? Or is it just their brain creating something there? Like this story.
So you don't think there's any way that they might have been picked up by some sort of alien vessel?
No. I didn't want to give you the satisfaction of me saying maybe. So, no. Okay, I've got a question.
All right.
The car has been restored to its former glory. How... Like, is this the first time they've taken the car out since it's been restored?
Not that I know of, no.
Is it possible that fumes are leaking into the car and making them...
I mean, I can't say that that's not a definite possibility.
I wouldn't say high, but it's certainly affecting them.
Frickin' high.
They've become intoxicated on the fumes.
So you've pulled out an alternative theory here. The Nunez Boys would specify that the red light up in the sky was a ceiling, not a sky. Theory time! Is it possible that they were abducted and they were in a giant aircraft rather than in a city, so to speak? Or maybe they went to Mars. They did see red after all. Or could LSD have been involved? I'm not saying that it was, I'm just spitballing theory. Any further thoughts?
Hookers and beer. It's possible that they got picked up by an aircraft. Like an invisible one was... I wouldn't say... it's weird to say travelling in front of them. Mm-hmm. But then we don't know the shape, size of the aircraft or anything like that, so we have no idea. But say, for example, you know when you see in films a large aeroplane come in front of a vehicle and its ramp comes down and then the car goes up the ramp and into the back of the plane?
Yeah.
Like that.
Okay.
But obviously the vehicle's invisible, so they don't know that's happening, and they obviously said they didn't feel any bump going up, so maybe it just raised them. Does their car carry on switched on and driving the whole time? Does it stop at all?
Yes, we're going to get onto that any second now, but essentially the car has been taking over, but it's still going.
Okay. Oh, what if it's on... Once it sounds really weird, but what if that spaceship had dino rods in? So what they are is you put your car on a dyno, which are these rolling. Yeah, so it goes on and it's literally sat still, but the wheels are still going because the dyno's taken the wheels.
They were testing the speed of Earth vehicles.
Quite possibly. But it's to allow, well, not to allow them to still feel like they're moving, but it doesn't allow them to think they've stopped, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a good idea. So the Nunez boys' car steering was fixed as if being controlled by something else. The boys also noticed quiet music, which was not from their car system. But then, after about 15 minutes, the red vanished and they were back on a street near their home. So they drove home. When they got home, Fran's wife asked why the funk they were so late. They'd been gone longer than expected. Calm explained with the following statement: "We went to a place where nobody goes." Neither man would elaborate.
Hookers and beer.
So they went looking for hookers and beer, or they were in a bar and then they bought some hookers?
I think they went looking for hookers and beer. Not necessarily hookers. Maybe they went to a strip club or an establishment similar.
A reputable establishment of the finest titty variety.
And maybe they went for some father and son bonding.
So you think that they went out, had a bit of bonding time, and didn't want mum to know about it because dad is banging a hooker?
Quite possibly. I mean, I don't think most mums would appreciate their husbands taking their sons to strip clubs and titty joints.
Possibly not.
For hookers and beer.
So following the incident, both men just tried to return to their normal lives. Neither spoke to each other until 3 weeks later.
Hold on. They didn't speak to each other?
Yeah.
So some lady got between them, didn't she?
They both wanted the same hooker.
Yep. And she went to Pops.
Oh. And Calm got the hump.
Maybe.
Not literally.
Maybe Junior was threatening to tell Mum.
Yeah. Fran got the hump, so Calm got the hump.
Yeah. So essentially they both got the hump.
But then...
Some lovely lady humps.
Hump is such a good word. Fran suddenly had a realisation that they had left Earth. Fran also...
They were so high that they left Earth.
Technically. No. Fran also felt that since the incident, both his knowledge and strength had grown.
That is such bullshit. How? Has he joined the gym since the incident? Has he...
Would you get that strong in a week or 3 weeks?
You could get stronger than what you were.
Noticeably
in that time. It depends what you're doing to notice that you've got stronger. Like if you were lifting heavy objects day in, day out, you might notice the
Every
slight
day I'm
strength.
lifting.
If as a mechanic he was struggling to undo bolts with his tools, but now all of a sudden those bolts are just easily coming undone, that is something you would notice.
What about if you went shagging the same hooker for 3 weeks, proper going at it, pummeling the poor lady? Would he get stronger through that? Maybe she had a few extra pounds around the hips and he was lifting that.
Again, it would depend on, I wouldn't say your definition of strength, but where your markers are. What are you testing? Are you testing the strength in each stroke?
Humping his wife
because
against humping the hooker. She's like, oh, you can lift me now.
Essentially, unless he's not lifting, the humps, his glutes, hamstrings, quads, hips should get stronger. Therefore, each pump wouldn't always be stronger. But he would get stronger.
I feel like I'm deep diving into this theory of beer and hookers. I'm going to really struggle to stay on track for the rest of this now. So word spread, and eventually National Enquirer journalist Bob Pratt got wind of this. Pratt would both speak to the Nunez boys and have them undergo hypnosis. The results of the hypnotic regression sessions were interesting and may back up that theory about the spacecraft.
I have a question about the Nunez boys.
Yes?
Does it state why they stopped speaking? Or did they just stop speaking?
I think they both kind of just felt awkward about what they'd experienced. Hookers and beers. Damn it.
Hookers and beer. Maybe he saw parts of his dad that he really didn't want to see.
They were both out really, really drunk. No. They were approached by a group of hookers, and they both looked at each other in their drunken state and thought that it was a good idea.
They were like, no man should see this. Or the dad looked and saw that the son's wang was like 10 times bigger than his, and he was like, that's not my boy. I don't know.
No son of mine.
So they undergo regression therapy like all of them tend to.
Yeah.
So when they underwent regression therapy, did it state exactly how many beers they'd all had that night?
No, but should we get into the therapy?
Yeah, why not?
So whilst under hypnosis, both Fran and Calm remembered entering large tunnels to underground parking before finally arriving at the Red City. Calm would further divulge that several months earlier, in January 1978, the whole family had seen 2 UFOs over Mendoza. But on the night of the Nunez boys' possible abduction, UFOs had been witnessed by others, including city watchman Marcos Palma, 35, and Gilberto Caballero, 48. Both watchmen would state that they witnessed a whole fleet of UFOs near the soccer stadium, and they were so amazed that they begun stopping traffic to point it out to others passing. The objects were said by Palmer to be round and bright, the size of a smaller car and numbering around 30. The crafts were silent. Caballero, however, said there were nearer to 500 crafts.
That's a huge difference.
So between 30 and 500?
I mean, which one needs glasses?
In the distance behind the fleet, there was reported to be a much bigger craft which remained motionless in the air. This incident was actually reported by the Argentina police force, as the Nunez boys were known to be honest, hard-working men who often repaired cars for the police. The police would say that they don't know what happened to the Nunez boys, but something did happen to them.
Do you reckon this place where nobody goes...
The strip club, yep.
Like, the police are in, the Nunez boys are in, like, they all go there, but none of them want to admit to going there because it's just, they'd get in trouble from their wives. So the police are like, we got to back them up here. Let's say that something happened when it didn't. Just so
They're all in on it.
Yeah.
The whole of my poo.
It's an elaborate story that has got out of hand simply to cover their asses. And it mentions that they entered large tunnels to an underground parking.
Yeah.
Before arriving at the Red City.
So they had underground parking at the Red City, yeah.
The Red City is the red light district. They parked up and walked up to the streets. They were so high, they probably thought they were still in their cars. And then they went in and hookers and beer.
Hookers and beer. It's very hard to argue with the points you're making.
It's because it's logical.
The man who hypnotised the Nunez boys was adamant that they were telling the truth. Dr. Carlos Wittenstein and Dr. Hector...
Sorry. The man who hypnotized them,
Yep.
is it one of the two doctors that you're about to mention?
No.
He's in on it too then. He's helping to cover their asses so they don't get in trouble. It's like
The whole
town conspiracy.
This poor wife.
Or city.
What has she done? She don't deserve this.
Nothing. But maybe these men need to blow off steam and it's a place where nobody goes.
There's a lot of cop cars to repair that have got damage from cop activities.
Cops have got stronger.
So yeah, Dr. Carlos Wittenstein and Dr. Hector Barcera would also investigate this case, and Dr. Wittenstein would later say that he and Dr. Barcera investigated 272 alien cases, and the Nunez Boys case was one of only 5 that was true. All 5 cases had seen the Red City. There we have it. Mic drop.
So they're counting the Nunez Boys as not 2 separate stories here, so it's not 2 of the 5.
No, this is one
This
story.
is one, so this is one of the 5.
Correct.
Are the other 4 members of my poo?
I'm not entirely sure at this point, having not deeply probed the others.
Is this one giant cover-up?
All because Fran banged a hooker.
Or what if they're all banging the hookers but don't want to get in trouble?
There's a
at home?
massive prostitution ring.
Possibly.
We can never go to this place now. They're going to hate you.
Maybe.
I-
Hookers and beer.
It sounds like a good place to go, to be fair. I guess the main question here is, was it a coincidence that the Nunez Boys saw a UFO a month earlier? Or had they been scoped out and targeted by UFOs?
I think you'll find the main question here is this bullshit or is this bullshit?
I thought you were going to say, is this hookers and beer?
Well, we know it is, to be fair.
So for reference, here are the Nunez Boys. Also, I'm just going to sweep straight over that comment of yours. I want you to see the Nunez Boys so that you can see the truth in their eyes. If you'd like to check them out.
Okay, it's a father and son sitting in the front of a car. The picture looks like one that would be taken for a cover. Either a article picture or...
National Enquirer,
Cover.
possibly?
cover of a book or something like that. Mm-hmm. So they're both sat in the front and they're turning to the
truthfully sat.
to the back of the car
Truthfully.
with their elbows on the car
Truthfully
seat.
resting on the car seat.
Now, what you cannot see is what is being held in their hands. Maybe there is a beer in those hands. Or...
But look at the honesty. You can just feel it.
No. There's a beer in their hands. Surely.
Drink driving.
I think he just wanted to take his son out. Maybe his son's not good with women, or he's never had a girlfriend. So Pops was like, let's go to the place where nobody goes.
And make a boy a man.
Exactly. And maybe the boy liked a specific girl, but Pops was like,
Make a man a bigger man.
she's mine. And that's why they didn't speak for 3 weeks. Because maybe it was the girl that he actually liked and he found out that she works there and that, Papa was
Humping
got a brand
away.
new bag.
Little Nunez got the hump because Big Nunez got the hump.
Precisely. Her lovely lady humps.
Do you know, the more I'm looking at this picture of them now, you can almost see some passive aggression in Calm's face. And Fran
It's like he really doesn't want to take that picture.
Fran looks like he's just done the business somewhere. He looks so content and happy with himself. He's even got a tiny little smirk. But Calm does not. His eyes have seen things that no sun should see.
You saw where that extra strength came from.
So yeah, that's actually my probed today. We had a UFO sighting in January 1978. Then in July, the Nunez boys were driving home when a boogie green truck followed them. Next thing they know, they feel the car has slowed and everything fades to black, including the road, which would be scientifically accurate if travelling around the speed of light. Then they're suddenly in a city lit up predominantly red with massive buildings either side of one main road. They hear eerie, calming music that's not coming from the car stereo. Next thing you know, they are back in their hometown. They've been to a place where nobody goes. That same night, a whole fleet of UFOs had been seen in the sky by numerous witnesses, including the Watchmen. They were hypnotised and remembered being taken to this red city. Both the police and reputable doctors felt that something had indeed happened to the Nunez boys. Case closed. Any final thoughts before we conclude?
The place where they heard the eerie, calming music.
Yep.
Just went out off to a different room, didn't they? Private show.
Jazz.
Yep.
Saxophones were playing.
Precisely. Hookers and beer.
Son, it's your birthday. I know you ain't had no lady in your life. We're gonna make you a man tonight. Don't tell your mama.
I kind of feel like if... I know this is your investigation, your probe.
Mm-hmm.
But if the answer isn't hookers and beer, I feel it's wrong.
Well, technically, we both give an answer. The question
Yeah.
is not, is it hookers and beer,
No,
though?
it should be.
So, poor Mrs. Nunez. Do you know, the son is in a really difficult place there, isn't he? Because you don't want to tell your mum that you've been with a prostitute. But equally, you don't want your mum to be cheated on by your dad who's banging a prostitute that you want to bang.
What if it's not only a prostitute that he wanted to bang, but like I said earlier, he actually liked this girl and knows her outside of the red light district?
And then his dad
And
is...
yeah, it's actually the one he likes and he's having trouble with.
What if he was ready to go with her and then the dad was like, I'll give you an extra tenner just to be an ass because he knew the son didn't have it. He'd only give the son 50 quid. And he's like, I'll give you 60 just as he's about to take his trousers off.
Hookers and beer.
So, are you saying that it was aliens?
No, I am not. I don't think at one point I've even thought that. Maybe at the start with Silver Surfer. And if it wasn't him, then it was bullshit.
So,
Sorry, I was just about to say I don't realise how true that statement was when I said it.
so I'm not saying that it was aliens and I'm not even going to pretend. This case is one of those ones where it's extremely outlandish. There were a couple of convincing tidbits in there. I mean, the science stuff about seeing the red and fading to black and whatnot, that's accurate. And I don't feel that the Nunez boys, certainly not in 1978, would have been able to know that. And obviously we had several witnesses there, which was also interesting in terms of sightings seen.
All vouching for one another.
Meanwhile, the Nunez boys didn't seek or gain any money or cult following, and actually, this case isn't even hugely well known in all but the most serious of UFO circles. But like I say, it's slightly outlandish, and I've just been hooked on the hookers and beers. I cannot argue with that. Do you have any final thoughts on the matters?
No, it's just hookers and beers. That's where I'm at.
I'm going to have to change the title of this one, or name this one, sorry. Hookers and Beers, the Nunez Boys story. But yeah, right, that's the show for today. Thank you so much for listening to But It Was Aliens. You should know the socials by now. We're at But It Was Aliens on the Twitter. On the Twitter! We're at But It Was Aliens podcast on Instagram. You can catch us each and every Thursday probing a new case. And we also love to hear your suggestions, so please do get in touch if you've got anything you'd like us to probe. Thanks again for listening. Do you think that dinosaurs were aliens?
What if aliens are dinosaurs?
And they came here on a comet or asteroid. That sounds slightly backwards, but it could be true. Do you think that seagulls are aliens?
Seagulls are pricks.
Dirty little bastards. Twats. Do you think that space monkeys will be aliens?
They already are. You mentioned them earlier. The silverback greys.
Maybe we'll find out next time, but until then, the truth is up there. #